The snooze button is not your friend. It's not my friend either. I used to use it every single day, not just weekdays, pretty much every single day, and I didn't really think about it. All I would think is, man, I could really use this extra 7 to 9 minutes of shut-eye. But as it turns out, it's a detriment to your health to use the snooze button. It's bad for your heart, it's bad for your mind, it's even bad for your soul. Sort of. In this video, I'm gonna go over why you should not use the snooze button, but instead, what you should be doing to position yourself in the morning as soon as you wake up for the day and overall health. Now, it is important to clarify, when I say heart, mind, and soul, I mean your cardiovascular system, your brain, and your overall well-being. I know that sometimes those kinds of languages can be kind of poetic, like your feelings, or your thoughts, or your eternal salvation, and that's not what I mean. I mean, I will be poetic, I promise you, but before I'm poetic, let's talk about your heart. Now, the human heart is not designed to experience what occurs during the alarm clock. For all of human history, we would most likely wake up when it was light outside, or when our bodies told us to. Now, not every single time we would wake up. Sometimes we would need to get up because we need to fight an enemy force, or we need to flee from a predator. And it wasn't until the Industrial Revolution that we started waking up consistently due to alarm clocks. So your heart hasn't evolved to the point where this is a circumstance that it's prepared for. So what happens when you are jolted out of bed? Your body suffers a spike in blood pressure and shock acceleration in your heart rate. This is triggered by the fight or flight response branch of your nervous system that I mentioned earlier. But unlike what our ancestors experienced, which happened seldomly, we are jolted from sleep multiple times every day for decades. And it's easy to see that since our bodies are not developed or evolved to where this should be a common occurrence, that it's going to have long-term consequences as well as short-term consequences for our cardiovascular system. So because of that, we should not be using the snooze button. It's not good for your heart. Now, before you wake up, your brain is producing cortisol and dopamine in order to give you energy. When we are struggling to get out of bed because we're tired, it's due to something called sleep inertia. The power of sleep inertia is connected to many variables like how much sleep you got, or whether or not your body is used to waking up at this time, but also what stage of sleep you are in. So as you hit the snooze button, you can actually push your brain deeper into sleep, causing you to become even tireder, or more tired, even more tired, I don't know why I'm tripping over this word. More tired is correct. That's right. But tireder does sound right to me. Mostest tiredest. Sounds like some sort of like Greek philosopher or soldier. Marcus Mostest Aurelius Tiredest. So the sleep inertia can actually grow as you continue to use the snooze button. Now, I'm not so sure about the long-term consequences of this on the brain, but I can easily imagine the short-term. For instance, you're missing out on the dopamine and cortisol that your brain already developed, so your brain's gonna have to work extra hard in order to compensate for that. And throughout the day, you'll be more tired, and so your brain's gonna have to work even harder, and it's gonna be more strenuous on your brain, and you'll be even more tired. But if you're more interested, or you're interested in more information about the brain, I definitely recommend Dr. Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep. Dr. Matthew Walker is a neuroscientist who's been studying sleep for many decades, and I can't recommend his book enough. It's super informative, but really digestible. It's really easy to read. I try and pick it up every single time I get into a sleep slump. But sleep isn't just good for your cardiovascular system and your brain, it's also good for your soul. And how you wake up in the morning also impacts your soul. Now again, both the religious and the non-religious might use a different word than what I'm using when I say soul. When I'm saying soul in this specific context, what I mean is just your overall person. Your mental capacities, physical, emotional, sexual, social, spiritual, like everything that you are, that's what I mean when I say soul. Now in other contexts we might mean something else, but that's what I mean when I say that hitting the snooze button is a disservice to your soul, to who you are deep at your core, because it is the first decision that you make. And you are starting your day, when you hit the snooze button, you are starting the day quitting. Jose Maria Escriva was a Catholic priest in Spain in the 20th century. And in his book, The Way, he describes what he calls the heroic minute. The heroic minute is the time fixed for getting up. Without hesitation, a supernatural reflection, and up. The heroic minute. Here you have a mortification that strengthens your will and does no harm to your body. Conquer yourself each day from the very first moment, getting up on the dot at a fixed time without yielding a single minute to laziness. If, with God's help, you conquer yourself, you will be well ahead of the rest of the day. It's so discouraging to find oneself beaten at the very first skirmish. While the principles behind the heroic minute can be applied in various ways depending on the person and depending on the morning, this is how I have been implementing it into my own life. My alarm clock wakes me up, I get out of bed, I stretch high or wide so I won't fall back asleep, and then I get on my knees. I thank God for the day, and I think about what this day could look like, what I'd like to accomplish, and how I'm going to choose to respond when things don't go how I planned. I thank God again for the day, and then I go about my morning. I don't really have a morning routine yet. I'll get there. I'll figure out what I like to do in the morning. But what I know that I want to do is experiencing a heroic minute. It's something small, but it is so significant when it's the first thing you do. On days that I don't do it, I'm more irritable. I'm kind of a whiny punk. I know, it's kind of hard to imagine. But on the days that I do it, I'm much more ready to embrace anything that the day is going to provide. I'm much more humble. I'm more humbler. Most is tiredest. So don't use the snooze button. It's not your friend. I am though, and I really hope that your heart, your mind, and your soul are in a position for health and virtue. I love you guys. I wish peace on you, and God bless. And remember, if you snooze, you lose. I'll see you guys.